load of stuff out here in the Daihatsu. And yes, we're using 2x6x12s, which just so happen to be about 1.5 feet longer than the Daihatsu overall. Yeah, I drove back from the store like that. I'm not right in the head, but it did it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and unload these because we're expecting the weather to start coming in, or at least keep the lumber dry, more specifically the plywood, because, well, we don't want any delamination or anything like that, and we could possibly still work here in the garage even if we get some rain. So what we have here is 5 sheets of 3/8 inch plywood, 12 2x6 by 12 foot, and what's that, 8, 2, 4, 10, 8 or 10 2x4s. Now I wanted for my posts to do a 4x4, but when I went up to the store and actually looked at the prices of things, it was $13 for a 4x4 by 8, and they look like they had been run through a wood chipper. I mean, some hillbilly driving over it could have given those things a much better square, even look. They were absolutely horrendous. So what we're going to do is we're going to laminate some beams and laminate some posts. So that's why I got 3/8 inch plywood. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to anchor the 2x6 to the wall using a 2x4 to help support it. Once it's anchored to the wall and the 2x4 supported, we're going to cut a pattern into the plywood. Then we're going to glue and screw it to the 2 boards. And then on top of that, we're going to put another 2x6 and another 2x4, and we'll probably nail that one just because at that point I have nails that are long enough. So we're just going to make it layered. Make it a layer cake. The front set of beams or posts is going to be a little bit different than that, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. I think we need to go ahead and put our first beam in and see where we sit with that, because, well, we're going to make sure it's level and straight first. So just to see how it sits. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Alright, so flush against the wall is pretty good. Alright, so now that I got a rough idea, we're going to piss some of y'all off. And I'll show you how in a second. We're using pocket hole screws to hold the beams together. Alright, so we're going to be using 2 1/4 inch exterior screws for this portion of it. This should, in theory, make sense in a little bit. That right there for now. Scoot this out a little bit. And there goes my level. Alright. About there should be good. Alright. Now for the fun part. I think I may move you back to this one. crap. I gotta do one other thing first. Thanks for reminding me. I was about to put a 2x12 up there, or 2x6x12, but I need to cut it down first. It's not at the right length yet. After doing some fine measurements, decided on 11'8". I hate these pencils. I need 11'8" minus 1.5 inches because I need to take away the thickness of this, which will hopefully make sense in a minute. So we're going to go 11'6.5". Lost my pencil. Found my pencil. Oh, I decided to go with 2 bolts to anchor it to the building on each, because that's 4 across there. That should be more than enough, especially with the additional stuff that we're doing, because a lot of the building's not going to hold much load. It's just going to keep the shelf from, sorry, that's not going to hold much load. It's going to basically keep the shelf from bowing out as we do this, or bowing in, you know, so it's going to double-sided kind of thing, and keeps everything secure. So at this point, if you notice, I'm off the wall a little bit here, and the reason for that is we're going to run a 6 foot beam out here and have another post here, so we'll have about a 1 foot overhang from there. Now before we do that, I need to go ahead and locate the bottom bracket so that we can anchor the building in. This is going to be a more interesting one. Because of the way we're doing this like a deck. So because I want the overhang, we're actually going to be coming down 6 inches, or the distance of a 2x6. We're going to be coming down, and we're actually going to be through bolting it, which I hadn't thought about. The through bolt's not going to fit right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our elevation, but we're not going to screw this one in. We're going to anchor it to the building, and we'll come back to this because we're going to have to make our laminated beams before we anchor it to that. That shouldn't be too big a problem. Say that now. Anyhow, now I think we are going to use 1 screw. We're going to use 1 screw on this board just to temporarily secure it, and we'll end up pulling it out once we get it attached to the building. So, back to the Craig jig. Now, I did, after the camera overheated and shut off, I went up there and I put 4 pocket screws on the main beam to help hold this cross tie in theory. Flies. probably settle in a little bit. Not quite as I had planned, but we're going to work with it. We'll at least get one bolt in there. This is not ideal, but this is the hand we're dealt. So the problem I have is, this is how long this is. Well, I guess we're going to have to go at, as much as I hate it, at a little angle. Okay, that worked better than I thought. Let me put another one in. All right. Now, as far as glue goes, we're using, what's this, Instagrab Loctite Heavy Duty Construction Adhesive. It's what I had available. You can use liquid nail or, you know, Lowe's brand, whatever. Key is we need to have some adhesive down for this. And I'll show you why once we get this in here. Now, I'm just going to set this in here, get a good line on it, and I guess where it's contacting already, we're just going to put a good screw in it. Yeah, it's a long stretch. Put another one there. There. Gonna go hit it again. Now we're not gonna nail this yet. We will nail it, but for now we're gonna screw it down. Good Lord. Talk about scaring the crap out of me. That there just jumped out. Good Lord. Give me a friggin' heart attack. If I'm not using the nail gun, I'd have to shoot him. You jump towards me, I'm going to suck you up in the vacuum cleaner. Now, I didn't nail this in because the last time I did a laminated beam, I tried to nail it, and what I found was the sudden shock from the nail gun wouldn't compress the adhesive. It was too quick, so it didn't smear it out. Where if I screw it in and then nail it, the screws will work as a clamp holding it together, and the nails will give additional support once I get to that point. So now that you've seen how it's done, I got to go through and do it for two more over here, and then I got to adjust these posts to the final position, and I got to do something different with the end ones. So let me go ahead. I'm not going to film it. You've seen what I'm going to do. It's going to be screw and glue. Glue and screw. Something like that. Alright, let's see if we can hit the hole. Think I hit the hole? I guess even if I didn't hit the hole, it didn't matter. Ooh, interesting. Alright, at this point we've got everything in, roughly. What we need to do is go ahead and laminate this back beam. That way we have that all set, and then we can start working on the front beam. And while we're at it, we're going to get the lamination part all set up. So I need 6 strips that are 5 3/4 or whatever a 2x6 width is. I'm going to show you a trick so that I get the right width every time. But I need 6 of those because we got about 24 feet, and it's going to be 8 feet, 8 feet, and 8 feet. It's probably going to be like 8 feet, 8 feet, and 7 feet, 9 inches approximately. We'll get to that. But we got to start with, cutting some strips. So we got to move outside. Well, since this beam is 12 feet and the plywood is 8 feet, we're going to do the first 2 in just directly the 8-foot length. What you don't see off camera, I got a little quick bar clamp up here to help hold it in place before I get the screws in. And I'll put another one at the 8-foot mark to help hold it up while I put the screws in. But first things first, we need to go ahead and put the glue down. I'm not going to have hearing protection on for this portion. Probably should, but I'm not going to. Oh, oh. Oh, sorry. I went ahead, cut the board to length 12 feet, taking off a 1/2 inch to make the numbers match up a little better. I then marked the center of the board and put it up here, and then marked the ends so I know where to glue. We're going to go ahead, put the glue on, and then we're going to turn around and screw this in. Say what, hon?
Of course my Jeep is locked.
Okay. You're complaining about me doing something correctly for a change? Yeah.
Where's the car?
It's by the shed. Now I'm not going to nail this in because this board is going to have the bracketry that holds the crossboards on. So we'll use extra long, probably 3-inch, 3¼ inch nails when we pound those in, which will secure both of these boards together plus the sandwich piece of plywood as well. So with that, back to measuring and cutting. But we're going to take a break real quick. We'll be back. I think you get the idea. I'm going to measure the last one, get it cut, get it put in there, and then comes the fun part. Setting the center beam right here when I got nothing to attach it to.